Hello and welcome to another edition of ProtoMet's First Impressions, where I give my thoughts on the first episode of any new tokusatsu series. And today I'm going to be talking about the first episode of Houou Shinken Widenger. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually a bit late to talking about this, because the first half of episode 1 debuted on YouTube 2 weeks ago, with part 2 having been released just last week. And I actually did spot these pop up in my YouTube feed as suggestions to watch. However, I kind of avoided them because, on the one hand, I assumed that they were just some indie tokusatsu, and they still might be, but also the video titles were in Japanese, so I kind of was under the assumption that there wouldn't be any English subtitles. But as it turns out, there actually are subtitles available for those videos, and I'm actually going to leave a link to the YouTube channel down in the description. But like I said, the first episode was actually released across 2 weeks, with part 1 debuting 2 weeks ago and part 2 debuting last week. So I watched both of them to get the full episode, and now I'm going to talk about my thoughts. First off, I did notice that the first episode doesn't offer up any explanation for how the heroes actually got their powers, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I have seen other tokusatsu shows that have explained the backstory in, like, either later episodes or even related media. Like, for example, Kamen Rider Stronger didn't give its origin story until episode 2, and while Kamen Rider Double's origin story does get hinted at in its first episode, the whole explanation for it was in a winter movie that not everybody would have likely been seeing. So this is not without precedence, and I'd only mark it as a negative if by the end of the series they don't explain how they got the powers. But again, I'd only get upset if that turns out to be the case once the show's over. They also, this first episode also explains at least explains the motivations for both the heroes and the villains, as they're both searching for something called the Tenku Hoten. I think it's Hoten. I might be wrong on that last part. The 10 part might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Tenku Ho something. But the heroes reveal that they actually don't know what it is they're looking for, and the villains reveal that they think it's a scroll. So it's not entirely clear what this MacGuffin is exactly, but the show does explain that both sides are looking for it. The monsters are based off of yokai. I'm actually trying to think of the names of the monsters. The end of the episode revealed that the yokai that we do see on screen report to some mysterious voice called Rasets, which is a name I'm familiar with because of Gao Ranger, but the kind of general level villain we do see on screen is, again, trying to remember the name, Nurarihyun? I think that's right. I might be wrong. It's the yokai with, like, a big head, kind of like the standard depiction of a genius or a super genius, that kind of look. While the monster of the week, who may actually become recurring given that he wasn't really killed or destroyed at the end of the episode, but I'll get to that, is a Gamma Hoshi, or Gamma. Oh, the opening theme title sequence does actually have an English translation for the credits, which is very nice. So there's a translation there, but Gamahoshi is what I actually remember. Surprisingly, I remember the Japanese name rather than the English translation for it, so. But, the general premise is that the heroes are a group of martial arts kung fu warriors who are competing with the yokai to get their hands on this Tenku Hoten. Got that one yokai name mixed in there a bit. And they're both trying to get it. The yokai decide to attack a woman because they think she has something that may be the scroll that might be the Tenku Hoten, but which at the end of the episode is revealed to be a roll of toilet paper because it's allergy season. Kind of funny. The heroes really aren't given a whole lot of development as characters. Aside from the fact that they wear different colors, there's not too much to distinguish them from each other. But I'm fine with that because the fight scenes in this first episode are fantastically choreographed. Like, you can tell that the actors have some training in martial arts. I don't know how much training, but they clearly do at least know what they're doing. And I would hazard a guess that they might also be the suit actors for the heroes when they're transformed, because you can definitely see through the heroes' visors during the fight scenes, so you can see the actor's face. And I'm not entirely sure if it's the face actors who are behind the masks or not, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were. But just in general, the fight scenes are fantastic, though I do have one nitpick, and that's like all these sound effects are just loud and obviously tacked on, which this does look to be a bit more of an independent production, but that kind of sound level, the sound effects don't sound like they're naturally occurring. They definitely sound added in, and it's pretty blatant. But the heroes' costumes when they're transformed are actually pretty unique, because they actually show quite a bit of skin. They're basically martial arts outfits with, instead of a helmet, just a face mask. Like, you can see the hair and all that, which is kind of why you're able to see through the visors, because they're just masks rather than contained helmets. So, like, light would be coming through and all that. This was part of the reason why I was just under the assumption that this was a fairly cheap indie series when the videos would pop up in my suggestions, because on the surface they look kind of basic, because just a face mask rather than a full helmet. But in action, yeah, no, I actually kind of like it. Now that once I've seen it in action, I can definitely appreciate it. The fight scenes are very well done, very fantastically choreographed. The episode's premise is incredibly simple, and I did like that the monster of the week had a human form that just looked like a dude, like a punk with like a wind jacket and a shaved head. That was nice. And while they did defeat the monster Gamahoshi, the end of the episode does reveal that he did at least survive the encounter, although he is a bit bandaged up. So I am kind of expecting him to show up in later episodes, though I'm really hoping that he's not the only monster that shows up. I do hope that there are other monsters that show up as per the standard tokusatsu tradition. And the costumes don't look fantastic. The grunts, they look okay, but the monster definitely looks not the greatest, but it's far from a super low budget type of costume. Like, there's actually some some good work that went into it, and it's not horrible, but it does look a bit on the lower grade side compared to your heavy hitters for Tokusatsu. The opening theme, they got Knob to do that opening theme, and he's done work on some other Tokusatsu opening themes, including some for Super Sentai. So the fact that they got somebody like him to work on it, I could definitely say that they did have some sort of budget for this. I also like that both parts ended with segments that kind of showcase some of the kung fu movements that the actors can do. Kind of like a here's how you do this kind of pose sort of thing. That was nice, and shows that these actors do know about martial arts beyond just simply having to act on the show. So they know what they're talking about by the looks of it. So I'm really hoping that there are more episodes. Like I said, so far they've only got I guess I didn't say that before, but so far they've only got the 2 parts of episode 1 up, but hopefully sometime soon part 1 of episode 2 comes out. I'm definitely hoping there are more episodes, because this is something that I'll definitely look forward to watching, especially for the really well choreographed fight scenes. Like those, once the actual fighting started, I was like, okay, my opinion on this has pretty much changed dramatically. This is pretty damn good. So I recommend giving Houou Shinken Widenger a watch. Again, I'll leave the link to the YouTube page, their YouTube channel, to go check that stuff out. And until next time, this has been me, ProtoMet. See ya!